There are certain times in life where a single event or a single day drastically changes the trajectory of your life. For some people, there's multiple. For some people, there's none really at all. But for others, there's that one event or that one day where everything changes. For me, that day was the 4th of December 2012. The 4th of December 2012 marked the day where I understood that I had depression and anxiety. What's strange was before that, for the first few months maybe, I was feeling like my mental health just drained. I felt really anxious to be around people. I felt lost within my own thoughts, and those thoughts weren't exactly the most positive either. And I didn't really understand what was going on. And what's even weirder is like before the 4th of December 2012 and a few months leading up to it, I was a pretty happy-go-lucky kid, child, early adult. Like, I wouldn't say a bundle of joy, but I was bubbly. I was friendly. I was someone to rely upon. I was happy. There were times during my secondary school life, and sixth form too, where I would have just these random mood drops, and these random mood drops were strange because, like, I understood the concept of good and bad days, but I didn't really understand mental health back then. In primary and secondary school, I was in primary school from 1998 till 2005, and then I was in secondary school from 2005 to 2010, and then sixth form was 2010 to 2012. Now in the noughties, if you will, so from 2000 to 2010, or 2009 perhaps, mental health was a thing, but it wasn't nearly as talked about as it is now. And so when I had these random mood drops, I just figured, yeah, no, it's the same for everyone, and it is in some regards. Everyone has these like random mood drops, but with the power of hindsight, I realized that they will happen maybe a bit too frequently. And I look back on some like Facebook posts, not so much posts, but pictures, and there were some pictures back in like year 9 and 10, so 2008 to 2009, where there was like this one picture where I just looked sad, like really sad. Yes, I felt like that was like, in hindsight, that maybe was like the start of it, really, I guess. There was no real start to why I became depressed and anxious throughout the remainder of 2012 and 2013. I like to stress that I'm still in it. I still have depression and anxiety, but I've overcome the worst of it, and I'll explain how that came to be in due time. There was this one event, and it was the year 13 prom, 4th of May 2012. What's so significant about that event is it was the last major event, the last significant event where I felt happy without being in like a depressive mindset, if you will. What I mean is, like, I've been happy since, like, my plight into depression and anxiety, but in the back of my mind I still had, or in my body I still had depression and anxiety. So on that night, the 4th of May 2012 prom, when I was 18, that was the last event where I felt really, really happy. Felt really like secure, safe, not vulnerable at all. So it's really bittersweet. Like, it's strange now that I think about it. Like, if only I'd known what was to come ahead. So what happened? So I left sixth form. I joined college. I joined the City of Bath College doing a sport development coaching and fitness course, level 3. Because my sixth form grades weren't the greatest. I had a really good AES, which was the first year, so year 12, but I had a pretty terrible grades for year 13. But at the same time, I didn't have the motivation of wanting to go to uni. If anything, that was what caused the drop in grades. I just wasn't motivated. I wasn't as motivated in year 13 as I was in 12. Because in year 12, people were saying like, oh, you wouldn't be able to make it at sixth form, when deep down I knew I could make it at sixth form. So I had this like mission to be like, yeah, no, I'm blitzing this. And I got an A in history, and that's still one of my favorite grades I've ever had. And I've been a student for quite a long time, so that's pretty high praise for me. But then, yeah, it just kind of went to pot in the second year because I had no added motivation. I didn't feel good enough to go to uni at that point in time. So anyway, yeah, because of that, I decided to do sport at City of Bath College because I wanted to do sport in GCSEs and A-levels, but I couldn't because of pathways, and I felt like I was better at humanities subjects. I still do, by the way, but I regret not being able to do sport when I could, so I ended up going to the City of Bath College to do a sports course. And that's when everything tilted on its head. There wasn't anything, I won't say the blame was on anyone at the college, per se. If anything, they were fine. During my time at secondary school and in sixth form, I had like a group of friends, and I absolutely loved them. It was like the Square Tree group, and then in sixth form, some other people came in from different places, and it was just a really cozy place, and I really loved it. And then when our results came out, we all kind of went separate ways, and I felt pretty lonesome. And I wasn't like bitter about it at all. I was never bitter about it because I knew even back then that's just life. You go separate ways. It is what it is. But it didn't stop me from feeling fairly lonely. And the people that I met in college, they weren't bad, but my personality didn't really connect to most of their personalities, if you will. And that's fine. It's life. So I felt even more lonelier because of that. But I will say there's one person I want to give a huge shout out to, and that's Jay Longstaff, because I had known her for years prior at my secondary school, and if it wasn't for her in the first part of my college life, I don't know where I'd be, if I'm being honest with you. She was like my rock during the hard times. So yeah, massive shout out to you. Thank you so much, and I love and appreciate you more than you'll ever know. So yeah, so I couldn't really connect to them, and I just felt my mental health, my brain was just deteriorating each passing month. September and then October, and then November was even worse. I wanted to quit so many times, but there was like quit college, I should say. In the back of my mind, there was just something like this voice just saying, "Don't quit. Something great is going to happen if you don't." And I kept listening to it, and I'm thankful I did, because, well, we'll get to that. And I just couldn't understand what was going on with me, because even in 2012, mental health was a thing. Mental health was was getting taught about more, but yeah, it was still kind of like there was a lot of stigma still back then, so I couldn't really open up to anyone. I felt like I couldn't open up to anyone because I felt like everyone was just going to judge, so I suffered in silence for months. But that kind of leads to the 4th of December 2012. I couldn't contain it anymore. I sat down on the sofa, or the couch if you're American, and my dad was just like, "Sam, are you okay?" And I just couldn't take it anymore. I cried my eyes out in front of my parents. I was saying like, I'm weak. I'm not good enough. I cannot be me. I'm not me anymore. The Sam you knew left, and a new Sam has taken over. And it was real tough. I think what kind of made me just break down was like the following day I had to do a group presentation in front of my classmates. And it was strange because in like secondary school, well, prior to college, I was able to talk in front of everyone, really. I was still shy, I was still like, I was still nervous about talking in front of people, but I was able to. I'm able to now as well. But during that time, I just couldn't. And I was petrified by that, and I was petrified by the fact everyone thought I was weak, even though they didn't. And I just broke down. Right there and then. My parents. Luckily, my parents were super supportive. They didn't understand what caused this to happen. They didn't understand why it's happening. But they wanted to help as much as they could. And I'm forever grateful because not everyone gets that opportunity to have parents that are so supportive of you. So was my brothers, but my little brother, the youngest brother, was only like 5 at the time, so he didn't really understand what's going on. And my other brother was like 13, maybe 14, 13, 14, around that time, around that age. So, but they were really supportive, but which made me feel a lot better, but it didn't lift me up, if you will. It took every bit of strength to go and do my presentation. I cried at college, but in secret. I went to see my lecturer, Dave, one of my lecturers, Dave, who was an absolute gent. He was hilarious as well, but he really won my respect because when I spoke to him about it, he pretty much took me under his wing and he pulled a few strings to make sure that the following couple of months was easier for me because I had to do like presentations and whatnot, and they'd find a way for me to do presentations, but maybe just to one teacher instead of a whole group of people. That's kind of how he came to be. So what happened after that? That was a really dark time. I won't say I was ever suicidal, but at the same time I didn't want to live either. I wanted to be like a spirit that came in and out of consciousness. I like to attribute it to like if you know Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's like you had that little kid Yu-Gi-Moto, and you had the Pharaoh, the spirit of the Millennium Puzzle, that came in and out whenever he dueled. He basically picked and chose when he came out. I wanted to be like that, Yami Yugi. I wanted to be like him. I just wanted to come in and out when I felt like it, talk to people when I felt like it. But I couldn't really do that. And obviously it's kind of like, a little far-fetched. But yeah, so I never really thought about that. And in regards to self-harm, I remember one time I thought about it, but I can't go through with it in the sense that for me, and this is just my opinion and my feelings and my thoughts, I didn't want to put even more pain onto the pain that I was already feeling, and so I stopped. If anything, it was at that moment when I was like, I need to seek help here. I need to seek help. I can't live like this. And so I sought the college counselor out, and in the following year and a half that I was at college, both of them counselors were super amazing. and got me through a lot. They made me untangle some of the webs and the fog that was in my brain to make me at least get through college, you know? But at the same time, I was still really low, and 2013 is definitely the worst year of my personal life. I probably spoke more in this video so far than I probably did in maybe weeks to other people outside of family. And I remember I was in my room. I think I was writing a personal statement because around this time I had this like desire to want to go to university. I wanted to, the whole emotional roller coaster that I went on leading up to that point, from the results day of my A levels in August as well, all the way up to, well, this August. I would really want to go to uni because I was like, maybe there I can find like redemption. Maybe there I will be able to find my inner strength to be who I once was. And as well as me wanting to teach, I've always wanted to, back then I really wanted to be a primary school teacher. Nowadays I still wouldn't mind being a primary school teacher, and I'm hoping to do a PGCE at some stage in the near future. But yeah, but that's a story for another time. I wanted to do education studies at Bath Spa University, and I knew that in order for me to get there, I have to go through another year of college where it just drained on me. I really didn't enjoy my time in college, and again, it's not a knock on people per se there. There were obviously some people where I was like, personality clashes perhaps, but yeah, it's again, you're gonna get that no matter where you are, education, work, whatever. But second year of college was actually a lot better. Like, I will say it was a lot better, and I actually felt I could feel myself opening up a little more, gradually opening up a little more. By this stage, Jay was gone. She was off doing her own thing. So I wanted to, it was like my sink or swim year, if you will. And I'm proud to say that I swam, and I swam to my heart's content, because I managed to blitz through the second year. I managed to get accepted into Bath Spa, and managed to have an amazing placement at a primary school where all the children really appreciated me being there and giving them guidance and support. And I could feel my mental health was starting to improve gradually. And it was partly because I had this goal in my mind of, I want to go and do a PGCE, not PGCE, sorry. I wanted to go and do education studies at Bath Spa University. So I had a goal to work towards. But also, like, another event, and it's actually a bigger event than that one that I just mentioned, happened at the same time as that realization that I want to go to university. And that was my little brother telling me one day, I was in my room, summer's day in August. It was actually around the same, I think it was like in the same week where I decided to wanting to go to university. And he was only 5, and he sat down on my bed, and he said, "Sam, why are you sad all the time? Like, are you okay?" He was only 5, and you could tell something wasn't up with his older brother, who at this stage was 19. And I was thinking, well, and he was 6 at this stage, to be honest. If I was 19, he was 6. And I was like, I'm a role model to him. At least one of. You know, I'm his eldest brother. He looks up to me. What type of life am I gonna give him well, not give him, but what type of life am I gonna accomplish if this little kid is looking up to me and thinking, life's gonna be terrible, life's gonna be really upsetting. When I don't want that to be the case, it was just my problems. It was me going through my problems. It doesn't have to be that way for him. And I was like, and in my mind I was like, I could be affecting other people as well as myself. And it was that like sudden realization where I was like, things have got to change now. I have to really fight this to get through and life and make the best possible life out of myself. And if I can't get cured by depression and anxiety, then at least try and find a way to manage how to do it. And so therefore my little brother doesn't have to grow up thinking that at a certain point in an adult's life you'll just be depressed and a shell of themselves. And I didn't want that, because that's not what life is about. Life is beautiful. Life is an incredibly beautiful thing, and it took me getting to rock bottom to truly realize that, really. And in a space of a week, my brother and that realization of I want to go to university, in a way set the motion of me seeking solace with myself and accepting that, okay, this is how I am now. This doesn't have to be how I will be in the future. I might have depression and anxiety, but that's not who I am, and I don't want it to be who I am. It's not me in the slightest. It's just what I have, and I'll work my damn ass off in order for me to get to a point where I can do something to help, which is kind of what I'm doing the creative project on, which is kind of why I'm doing the videos and I've spoken at great lengths on social media about mental health too. So, but this is like I've never really explained why or how I got to that point, where I just became a recluse. Now I'm not. It's not controlling me. It can temporarily, but unlike me in 2013, me in 2020 is strong. I'll fight back. And I might still have depressive episodes. I might still have anxiety attacks. I might still at times feel worthless. But I'm stronger than my depression, and I will continue to fight against it. And yeah, when I got to university, I was able to leave that chapter behind me to a certain extent. College wasn't all that bad. I do not want to make people not want to go to City of Bath College or even do the sport course. It was a good course. It was a great college as well. It's just my time there was coincidentally at the same time where my mental health plummeted. I could feel it plummeting even before I joined college, so it was just a perfect storm, if you will. And so by all means, please don't take this as don't go, because quite frankly, other people have had an amazing time at college and even in sport. So my opinion is do what you feel is best for you. Don't let my story detract you from it. The lasting memory I have with college isn't my depression and anxiety issues. It's actually my Student of the Year trophy, where I managed to win Student of the Year in my final act as a college student. And that meant so much, because it meant like, wow, my whole college career kind of came to that point. Yeah, okay, I did get into Bath Spa University. That's amazing. That's the best possible achievement for me at that point in my life. But Student of the Year was like a recognition of everything that I accomplished in college at the same time as me trying to fight against a horrific mental health condition. So, conditions even. So, that Student of the Year trophy is still on. I think it's on the I think it's on the table where the telly is. Not table, sorry. The whatever it's called, the stand where the telly is, and I still look at it from time to time like, how did I manage to get through it? And I even said to one of my lecturers out on the sports awards dinner, where we held the little ceremony about Student of the Year and other awards too. I said to one of my lecturers, I was like, I don't know how I managed to get through that. And she said, Sam, you got through it because you're one of the most resilient people that I've ever met. You had to go through a Herculean effort in order for you to get to that point, and we all recognized that. And I came out with the highest grades as well. So coming out with the highest grades, a Student of the Year, going into basketball university, and then like I still even now I still can't understand how I managed to do that. It is by far it was the best achievement I think I've ever had in my life, and that's even including graduating 3 years later with my degree, which I'll go on to at another point in another video. One thing I will say to kind of close this video off is your problems are still your problems. I made the mistake, and it's an easy mistake to make, of comparing your problems with everyone else's. Like, amount of times where it took me ages to see a doctor, it took me ages to see a counsellor because I thought I was wasting their time because other people had problems that were much worse than mine. Well, that was a mistake on my part. Why? Because just because someone else might have a worse problem doesn't make your problem any less real. Doesn't make your feelings any less important. And that is something I'm living by. It can take a combination of small little things and it could become a big problem. So even if it is simply just telling someone that you love them platonically, non-platonically, whatever it may be, or complimenting someone's work, complimenting someone's ability, telling someone that you're proud of them can go a really long way, because even if they're not depressed, if they constantly have bad thoughts or bad feelings, it may lead to them becoming depressed and anxious, or another mental health condition like bulimia, or struggling with PTSD. For example, us people with mental health conditions, we tend to be fairly good at concealing the fact that we have mental health conditions. I'm just saying, your problem is still just as valid as any other problem, no matter how big or how small it is, because if you ignore the problem, it'll only just get bigger. It's a snowball effect, and you don't want the snowball effect to happen. So thank you very much for watching this video. But one thing I will say also is thank you for everyone that ever supported me, not just generally through the rough times of my depression, anxiety in 2013, just in general. Thank you to everyone that's ever made me laugh, who's ever complimented me, appreciated me. Thank you for everyone who was proud of me. I couldn't get through life without you guys. You mean the world to me. And if you're watching this and perhaps we fell out and we haven't spoken to each other in a while, then I'm sorry if I ever hurt you. And if you ever hurt me, then I forgive you. And I'll be more than happy to talk to you again. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching the video again. My social media is down below. And I will see you in the next video. And the next video will be a much more uplifting one. I can tell you that much. It'll either be a video from the past from a different YouTube channel that I'll upload, or it might be another compilation video, which are always fun because it's usually behind the scenes. I'm gonna love you and leave you. Everyone, please take care and stay safe.